Horror movies are not for everyone, but the people who love these terrifying films are no strangers to Sam Raimi's amazing work. From Darkman to the Grudge series, he's directed some of the most memorable horror movies to date. He's also the first director to bring those scary movie vibes to the MCU in the newest installment of Doctor Strange. Continue watching to see which new horror project is the legendary director associated with. First off, Sam Raimi is pursuing horror once again. The 1978 eerie doll thriller, Magic, will be remade by the renowned horror and superhero movie director Sam Raimi. When he appeared on the podcast Post Mortem with Mick Garris, It and It 2 Chapter 2 producer Roy Lee shared this information with listeners. According to him, he would work with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness to create a remake of the beloved horror classic. Raimi and Lee have advanced to where Magic is ready for production. Lee told sources that while he'd only worked with Raimi while he was a producer on past films, this would mark the first time he'd be working with him as a director on Magic. He explained that Anthony Hopkins will star in a classic movie that will begin production soon. Currently, they're hearing the writers and their final versions of the story. He added Raimi has always expressed his admiration for the movie and the book as well. Raimi earned commercial success with the Doctor Strange sequel and Sony's first Spider-Man trilogy that starred Tobey Maguire. But it was the Evil Dead trilogy, the 1990s Darkman, and 2009's Drag Me to Hell that had fixed his reputation as a master of suspense and horror. Plus, Raimi received critical acclaim for character-driven dramas including The Gift in 2000 and A Simple Plan in 1998. We'd like to state here that Sam Raimi's Magic still doesn't have any established writers, cast and crew, or release date. Coming up, what is Magic all about? Before Attenborough directed the movie, Norman Jewison and Steven Spielberg were discussed as possible directors for the 1976 William Goldman novel-to-movie adaptation of Magic. Young Anthony Hopkins played a struggling magician, Charles Corky Withers, in the movie, who, with the help of his vulgar dummy named Fats, came up with his successful ventriloquist show. When Corky finally reconnects with his high school crush, Anne Margaret, it angers the dummy. Corky has been discussing his feelings with Fats, who he believes he can no longer control. When the movie was released, it earned wide success and critical acclaim. We are all very excited to see who's cast in the remake in place of Anthony Hopkins. Next up, Sam Raimi adds a touch of horror everywhere he goes. Raimi never really stopped thinking about how to make movies scary, and something we hope he'll bring to Magic as well. Even when he was associated with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, he was constantly coming up with creepy ways to kill off the characters. According to the screenwriter, Michael Waldron, Raimi came up with Black Bolt's gruesome death. The movie was going to be one of the first scary movies in the MCU. Kevin Feige had repeatedly spoken about how the new installment would be the first for Marvel fans, and Raimi was chosen to make that happen. Wanda was the antagonist in the movie, and the filmmakers wanted her to be terrifying. Waldron was stuck trying to come up with a horrific first death to show that Wanda wasn't there to mess around. While discussing the possibilities on a Zoom call, someone mentioned how Black Bolt's superpower is to shoot large amounts of energy through his mouth. And without skipping a beat, Raimi simply says, "What mouth?" From there, the task was simple. Sam Raimi painted the scene for them, and that's what made it to the screens. Magic is more of a psychological thriller than it is a horror movie. But knowing that Sam brings the movie to the big screens can give us a tad bit more hope. Hopefully, he'll bring a touch of horror to Fats and make the movie seriously spooky. Coming up, this is just the step in the right direction for Sam. This isn't the first and hopefully not the last time that Sam Raimi will direct a horror film. Just as he brought horror elements to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he has brought various other horror movies to life. Magic will give viewers another chance to see Sam's brilliant mind bring another scary movie to life for a whole new audience. It's hard to imagine that before the immense success of his self-produced movie, Raimi was only a beginning director. The plot of the Robert Tappert and Sam Raimi film The Evil Dead revolves around the main character's interaction with demonic possession after he finds ancient texts in a remote area. The movie received great reviews and helped the director climb the ladder of success. The Evil Dead, considered one of the best horror movies ever made, also developed a cult following, leading to the creation of the Evil Dead franchise. It included 3 additional movies, a TV series, a video game, and comic books for fans who couldn't get enough. The planned 5th entry in the series, Evil Dead Rise, is scheduled for release through HBO Max in 2022, and Raimi, Campbell, and Tappert are back as producers. Next up, horror movies are Raimi's specialty. Most often, viewers consider Drag Me to Hell as one of Sam Raimi's most undervalued horror movies. The story of loan officer Christine Brown, who is forced to evict an elderly woman in the movie titled Drag Me to Hell. As the movie progressed, the ominous title explained what would happen to Christine. The story follows her as she tries to avoid getting her soul dragged to the fiery pits of hell. Viewers and critics praise the movie's ability to mix dark humor with horror aspects seamlessly. With magic, Sam Raimi has another shot to show us just how good a scary movie can really be. Meanwhile, in other related news, first off, what else is Sam Raimi looking forward to? Sam Raimi has his eyes on an unexpected superhero. Apart from magic, the director has expressed his interest in directing a Batman movie if Warner Brothers offered him the opportunity. Raimi expressed he loves Batman, and that if he was given the chance, he would run to bring a Batman story to life. He added that if he heard the deep laugh of the Shadow, he would also consider making the movie. And Spider-Man fans will be glad to know that another installment of the web-slinger is not completely out of the question for him. He stated that Spider-Man is a higher priority for him than Doctor Strange right now, but he wants to give newer projects a shot. Next up, which X-Men character almost showed up in No Way Home? Do you remember the times when any conversation regarding a crossover seemed like a dream? This was mostly because of the decision made in the 1990s to license the characters to several film companies in order to avoid bankruptcy. As a result, several of Marvel's most well-known characters, including Spider-Man and the X-Men, were turned into standalone franchises. Although this method has been standard for some time, there have always been talks about a larger, shared universe where everyone exists at the same time and place. In fact, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man almost featured a famous X-Men character. Hugh Jackman revealed in an interview that Kevin Feige had approached him in 2013 about the possibility of appearing in the first Spider-Man movie. His appearance wouldn't be significant, but meagerly a walkthrough shot. However, this cameo never made it to our screens, as we all can attest to. But the reason for the missing cameo is pretty strange. According to Jackman, the studios couldn't find his suit. It was stuck somewhere, and the delays forced them to skip the cameo altogether. He also added that money probably had a lot to do with it as well. Could Disney and Fox have come to an agreement if the suit had been found? We'll never know now. Coming up, Raimi mixed shots from another movie in Spider-Man. Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man installment was Peter Parker's origin story. We followed high school senior Peter Parker as he was bitten by a genetically changed super spider during a field trip. After that, Peter gains superhuman abilities resembling those of a spider and uses them for good and is eventually known as Spider-Man. Before Peter gained abilities, the audience witnessed the dreadful side effects of the spider bite, and a scene from Sam Raimi's debut superhero film Darkman can be found in that frantic scene. Budgetary constraints forced Raimi and his team to get creative with what they already had. The editor, Bob Murawski, ended up combining shots from Spider-Man's starting sequence with one of Darkman and one from Lucio Fulci's 1981 film to create the feverish sequence where Peter returns home after being bitten by the spider. The hallucinations/nightmares he experiences before waking up are combined with these movies, after which he wakes up as a different person. The result was a terrifying moment that captured Peter's experience. And it was a great Easter egg for Darkman fans who are familiar with Sam Raimi's work. Do you think Sam Raimi's remake of Magic will live up to the original? Which of his horror movies is your favorite? We're always happy to learn what you think in the comments. Until next time.